Hello and welcome to the Guitar Hang Podcast. I'm your host, John Stancorp. Well, it's Season 9, Episode 8, and today we're in for a very special guest, Robert Baker. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, you're in for a treat. Robert is a phenomenal guitarist who dives deep into guitar technique, gear, tone, and everything in between. He's one of my personal favorite creators in the guitar world, and today we get to pick his brain about all things guitar. So grab your guitar, tune up, and let's hang with the one and only Robert Baker.
I'm not sure, but it'd be interesting to find out how you were you gigging and teaching, and then along comes YouTube and you're starting to post. I'm interested to hear how the evolution of this thing started for you.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, I used to gig a bunch. I was in 3 different bands at one point, playing all the time. And I ended up going to school. It was like a trade school that you could go to here your last 2 years of high school. And I went for media communication. So it was like recording and video stuff and all that. And that was right around the time, so that was 2007. And I think YouTube came out in like 2006 or something like that. It was, right around the same time. And I was like, oh, look, here's this like platform I could post. And I have like really terrible versions of me play that funky music. It's just horrible. I mean, the songs are great, but I'm playing terribly. But and it was just on like a webcam or something like that. And I remember finding there's a guy on here. His name's Rob Chapman.
Yeah, I know.
And
Chappers,
yeah. I mean, he's a total legend on YouTube. And I watched his videos, and he was some video. I think he was working with ESP or Orange or someone at the time, and I was like, whoa, he seems like such a normal person. I'm like, can normal people work with companies? Like, is that an option?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I think I could do that. And then I was like, well, nobody's really teaching all this like 80s stuff that I like.
Right.
And I was like, well, I can do that, and then just kind of got better at talking to the camera and that kind of thing. But that was really the start of it. And I remember I started doing online lessons, and then the local music store asked me to come and teach. So like, hey, we need another teacher.
Yeah.
Would you come here and teach? Because I was getting ready to go out to California to GIT.
Yeah. Okay.
And I kind of was like, well, teaching is what I wanted to do anyways. So maybe I'll give this a shot first before we like relocate out to LA or wherever, GIT, Hollywood, whatever it is. But yeah, so that was kind of it. It was just a happy accident, I guess. I was already knew how to do the video stuff from school.
Right. I would guess that when you run into people that know you from your channel and that they have aspirations of doing it, it seems like the paralysis by analysis kicks in and they're like, there's no way I could ever be a Robert Baker. There's no way. And maybe you thought there was no way I could ever be a Rob Chapman and so on. But the question that you must get asked a lot is it too late for somebody to get started in doing this kind of thing? Is it oversaturated? Is it, I would guess that's people that would tune into this video would wonder, yeah, there's maybe it's not guitar, maybe it's something completely unrelated, but they're wondering to themselves, I would love the idea of doing this, but it's getting started is always the most difficult piece.
Yeah, I'd say that's it. I think there's tons of channels who are, new channels who are starting off. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. It's a lot harder to start now because there are so many other channels out there, and you can see it from even a channel like mine who's been around. You don't gain as many subscribers as you used to and all that stuff. And it's just because people's attention is pulled, 1,000 different directions. But I still say do it, know, and the biggest thing is just start it. Don't overthink it. Don't get so much into your head that you don't do it. That's the biggest thing I tell people. I was like, you just have to do it. Like who cares if your idea is good enough? Who cares if your camera's good enough? You just have to start doing it, because even if you have the best camera equipment and all that stuff, your first video is probably going to suck anyways. I mean, there's no way around it. You have to get used to talking to a camera, which feels super weird for a lot of people. I know I did. My wife always made fun of me And she's like, you have such a camera voice whenever you do videos. And it's just, you just have to learn how to do it. It's, it's like guitar. The more you practice it, the better you
Right.
get.
Right. Do you find that it was that your skills on the guitar, because now you're really focusing maybe in a very hypersensitive way
Hmm.
on your playing, did you find that you're playing rapidly and got better because you're okay, I've got this video that I want to create, it's an Ingve thing or it's a Steve
Hmm.
Lukather thing or whatever it might be. And does that throwing yourself into the deep end, does that give you a reason for your chops and your playing to evolve and get much better?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of motivation behind it because it is one of those things like if you don't use it, you lose it. So you have to practice and keep up your picking and all those things. But the biggest thing is I think it just it forces you to be creative.
Right.
You have to keep coming up with new exercises, new ways to explain things, and I mean I don't know if I've gotten any better. I can't say that.
Right.
I'm so good now.
Well, I mean, I
I
think
would never say that.
there's people that have like I've seen a lot of your stuff over the years, and your playing's always been great. But I can tell when you're doing something that's that's super technical that you're playing it in a way that's very relaxed and very confident, and it just
Mhm.
seems like that just only comes with really getting deep into it and just really
Sure.
working hard. And you're like, there's been an evolution in the level of complexity, but just also the entertainment thing. I think people that like your channel, and this is probably the biggest giveaway for anybody that wants to do this, is being your own self. I think
Totally.
people that like your channel, like you as a person, or who they're getting to know, your
Hmm.
persona. And that, I think if when you start trying to be, if you were to try to be Rob Chapman, you wouldn't nearly have been as successful. If you followed his thing too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just a nerdy, weird, long-haired guy. So you just have to own it. I mean, you are what you are. Like
Right,
it would. I feel like it'd be so exhausting if you had to create
right,
this persona that you need to
right,
keep up when people are around or something like that. I'm just like, man, I, other than like the awkwardness of not knowing how to do videos and that kind of thing, it was I don't know, just that seems so fake, and I just don't
right.
I don't like that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know, just be you.
Hmm.
There's a confidence there. It's like, listen, I'm certainly not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but man, if you just want to nerd out to guitar stuff, I'm your guy. I love the '80s stuff, but I love all of it. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The community aspect of doing this kind of thing is
Hmm.
got to be awesome because it's it's broken down the walls. When I started playing, there was really tablature wasn't a thing. YouTube, the internet wasn't a thing. Guitar magazines were like the best thing to stay connected. It's like I'm 60. I've been playing for 40 years, so I feel like when I was playing, that was my only lifeline. I couldn't
Hmm.
see these guys play in real time often unless I happened to. They came through Cincinnati. I could see Al Di
Right.
Meola or Steve Morris or Eric Johnson. So it was the kind of. But now it seems like we're in an age where you could conceivably DM Eric Johnson or somebody who's one of your heroes and get
Yeah.
a brief, very nice, personable response, which is a an amazing thing for guitar nerds like us.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really cool to be able to, like you said, uh, I was watching Brad Paisley was live yesterday, and I got fortunate because when I started playing, internet was obviously a thing and all that kind of stuff, but we still had like dial-up internet, so it was like, was it a thing? Like you couldn't really use it for anything, but and then obviously YouTube, you could find all these videos. Like there were videos of Frank Gambale that I had just been told about
Right.
Like, oh, there was this VHS, but I'm like, I couldn't find it anywhere. And all of a sudden, I'm like, there's a, like, what? Like, and then I'm like, oh, YouTube's amazing. I love this. That just happened. I did a interview with Reb Beach, and I mentioned that he had a second instructional video that I was never able to get, and somebody saw the video and uploaded it onto YouTube. It was like the first time it's ever been on YouTube. I'm like, I finally got to watch it
Right.
after like 20 years of wanting to see this thing,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. It was so cool, and it was really fascinating because that came out in like around 2000 or 2001, so pre YouTube, pre all that stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, Reb created this thing. It was called Homegrown, and it was someone shot it with a camcorder, like just in his house with him. I'm like, this is like what YouTube
Right.
became. Like
Yeah.
Reb was ahead of the game. So yeah, I mean that stuff to me is super fascinating. I love that.
Yeah, and you get together with somebody like him and you find out that there's not only are you fascinated about what he's doing, but he in turn is very interested in what you're doing, and you find out that the things that you have in common are much greater than you could ever have imagined, and it really brings these heroes
Yeah.
to a more human level because I think whether you're a sports guy or like in auto racing, you kind of have these, or even movie stars or whatever, you have these people that you put kind of on a pedestal, and then you get to know them and you realize, oh my gosh, they're every bit as kind of fans for certain things as we are, and they're just as curious. And so that's the great thing
Yeah.
about the YouTube phenomenon and the age that we live in is that we're able to connect as human beings a lot more, even though there is a lot of bitchiness on the, and
For
people
sure.
writing nasty stuff, but I just think they would do that anyway.
Yeah. Maybe it was just a little more contained to the forums
Yeah.
in the past. I wonder if people like when they would write into magazines, did they send letters like that into magazines too? That seems like so much effort to send in a nasty like I'm like who what I don't know who has time to leave nasty comments, let alone like write a letter, pay for a stamp. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, those are hardcore trolls. Those are the real trolls.
Yeah. It's interesting because even in the early days of the internet, I've heard Andy Wood and some other folks, and also Rick Graham talking about the John Petrucci forums and how all
Yeah.
these players kind of came out of that thing. It was a very small group, and it was Martin Miller and Tom Quayle and Andy James and those guys, and they were all kind of in this John Petrucci forum trading licks on oh, check out this thing that I learned off Octavarium or whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
It's really cool, these things that kind of bring everybody together. And I didn't know if you were ever a part of that thing or if that predated.
So I was never part of the Petrucci one, but it is similar. I was part of like Alter Bridge had a forum, and Chappers had a forum,
Yeah.
and still know a lot of the guys that I met through there, like Sam Colson, Steve Hutt. There's so many of these guys who I met through there they're on YouTube now doing. And, I'm like, funny. We all started in forums because that was just you were a fan of something, and then you were around similar people, and you're like, oh yeah, here's this video, and then Leonardo Guzman. Just remember I was talking about Warren DeMartini, and he's like, oh, I always liked this, and he would upload like a little clip of him doing this like Warren I'm wearing a Warren DeMartini shirt. I just realized that. And he would upload like a little video of him playing something. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I always noticed he did this, and then you'd upload like a little 240p pixelated video. But like that was the start of it, just trading licks back and forth that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cool. I mean, now we take for granted because everything's like 4K and all this. But
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was gargled audio and webcam. Like I said, 240p was like what my old videos are all in. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I don't know, fun times though. But yeah, I was never part of the Petrucci one.
Oh, okay. There's something that's been hasn't been super recent, but in the last few months, there was a lot of videos where Rick Beato's been talking about the copyright thing and copyright strikes and all that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
as a very successful YouTube content creator, are are there things that you special ways that you have to get around it? Like if you wanted to play the solo for Way Cool Jr., do you just play the solo to that, or do you create your own back? How do you navigate the waters of if you want to show something like that and use the fair use thing that they're talking about?
Yeah.
How does one go about doing that and not getting the copyright infringement thing?
It's tough because I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I obviously I've done it, but
Right.
I don't have like I just got my first strike a few months ago. Like I've never had a copyright strike. I had tons of claims, and I'm always cool with claims because I'm like, whatever, it's their song. Like if
Right.
they want the money that the video makes, they can have the $20 that
Right.
the video is gonna make.
Right.
But yeah, I got my first strike, and it was from UMG, and it was because of a Bryan Adams cover, and it wasn't, there was no original audio in it. I programmed the drums, all the guitars, did a vocal like melody on guitar, all that stuff, and they took the video down. They gave me a strike, and to dispute it, like I don't YouTube really. I think has a. I mean, it's a terrible system that they have in place
Right.
because you dispute it and it sends it to the person who made the claim, and then they decide if your dispute is valid or not. I'm like, well, of course they're not gonna. They made the claim in the first place. They're not gonna agree with me.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't disputed too many of. That was the first strike. So I just waited out the 90 days. But yeah, typically, I mean, if you just recorded your own backing track, sometimes playing stuff in a different key. So if it's a half step down, play it in standard tuning, or if it's in standard tuning, play it half step down. That stuff
Okay.
kind of helps. But I think with all this AI stuff, we're gonna probably see a lot more copyright claims because they're gonna be able to just put in this like algorithm of like, hey, if they play any of this stuff, copyright claim. So.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have too much advice on it other than just, the educational side should be fair use, and you can dispute it and fight it, but it is definitely a headache.
Yeah. The I guess the thing that you don't know until you get into this is that and I don't think the average person that watches a bunch of YouTube videos that is thinking about getting involved in this realize what percentage that YouTube actually represents to the average person that's doing this in terms of income. It may just be one piece of a much bigger puzzle or mosaic. I mean, there's
Oh,
the
for
YouTube thing,
sure.
and there's affiliate links, and there's sponsorship and that kind of stuff, creating courses and that kind of thing. And be interested to hear your discovery on how all those things kind of fan
Yeah,
out for you.
I mean, I've never. I mean, I've been teaching and doing YouTube and all that kind of stuff for 15 years, maybe something, 12 years. I can't remember how long it's been, but YouTube itself is. I think people get misled or misinformed, like how much you make on YouTube. It's like, trust me, it's not lots unless you are a huge channel like Rick Beato, those guys. Like, and I don't know how much any of them make. Like, I don't know
Sure.
those guys, but you have to be getting millions of views each month in order to be like, oh, I could just live off of YouTube.
Right.
I usually get around 1 million-ish views a month, and it is like it pays our rent. That's it. And it'd be like, oh, I hope we don't need to eat this month. So you
Yeah.
have to do more than that. So like for us, I mean, yeah, it's the affiliate stuff, it's sponsored videos, and then the courses. Courses are the biggest one.
Right.
That most of us do. Because none of the friends that I have just do YouTube. YouTube is
Right.
the vehicle that helps empower a lot of these other things. But yeah, you definitely have to have like multiple streams of income and YouTube's so unpredictable. Like it can vary month to month,
Right.
30%. You know, you never know because the ad rate changes every single day. You used to be able to see how much you were getting paid, your CPM and all that stuff.
Right.
And like one day you'd be getting like $9, and then the next day you'd be getting 7. And then in holidays you get 12. And then in January you get 5. And I'm like, it literally is constantly changing. So one thing anybody who's trying to get into YouTube is like, don't count on YouTube to be your like sole
Yes.
revenue stream, because
Right.
it's scary if you do that.
Yeah. And I guess that for the folks that are wanting to demonstrate, let's say you really had a thing, you were going to do like a course on 80s guitarists,
Hmm.
you wanted to have some companion videos, you would probably find ways of doing things that don't necessarily involve YouTube in terms of getting that out to your audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think like having the audience is the biggest thing, because
Right.
I've had friends who spend all this time writing an album and all this, and they release it, but they just don't have much of a following.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, you really have to put just as much effort into that
Right.
as anything else. You know, um, I always make the joke. It's like I spend more time looking at videos of me playing guitar than actually playing guitar now, because editing is the biggest
Right.
time soak of all of it.
Right.
And yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. I don't remember what the question was.
Oh, we were just talking about the concept of if you were to do a
Oh yeah.
course on 80s guitarists and you
Hmm.
picked your top 10 favorite 80s guitarists and you wanted to get that material out to folks, you would kind of sidestep putting it on YouTube in favor of maybe a course or something
Yeah,
to
so a
get
lot
it
of
out.
it is I always want to be like a musician first and like a business person second, because I feel like it's such a trap. People who start as musicians and they turn into like business people. I'm like, no, you still need to do everything that you built your channel on. It needs to be lessons, there needs to be all that kind of stuff, but also, YouTube in general, just content is very, it needs to be quick. You got to get to the point fast for
Right.
everybody.
Right.
But it's like, but that's not necessarily the most like conducive way for people to learn. So to me, that's what the courses and all that are. It's like, hey, I get to actually explain things the way that I want to. So if you like the way the YouTube videos are, the courses are even better because I go slower, I explain things more,
Yeah.
I can give more detail into what I'm thinking.
Right.
So yeah, so it's like, I would have that stuff off of YouTube, but you have things on YouTube that can push people
Right.
to it if you want to. But that's a whole nother thing. It's like, but don't make every video shouldn't be like a sales pitch.
Right.
It's like, just make some videos because you want to make them. Everything doesn't have to be about making money and, trying to sell something at all times. It's like, just make an Ingve video because you want to make an Ingve video.
Right. Does the extra exposure and the or the not extra, but the fan base that you have, the community, I should say, that you have, does that allow for you getting out and doing some things like clinic things or appearance things or NAM related things? Are you doing those things as well to kind of get out there meeting people in your community?
Yeah, I mean, I used to do a lot of that stuff. I haven't done anything since 2020.
Right.
Right before the pandemic was out at NAM and all that stuff. And but I don't, other than going like to the Amigo guitar show that's here in Tennessee, I don't really do too much of that stuff anymore.
Hmm.
Not because I don't like to. One of the coolest things is like getting to meet people, and they're like, "Oh, I've bought your courses," or all these different things. And I'm like, that to me, it's really cool because typically it's just me in
Right.
a room talking to a camera,
Right.
and
Exactly.
sometimes you can forget like how it's like there's people on the other side of that camera, and a lot of them appreciate what you do, or something you've done resonates with them, and it's definitely nice to get out there and be like, oh yeah, these are the people who are, just watching, or you'll meet them and be like, oh, my username is this because they've watched for a long time. I'm like, oh my god, it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, because a lot of them have been subscribed and watching, like you said, if you've been watching since 2009, 10 years or longer.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I said, at one point I did a lot of like clinics, and I was playing at all the NAMs and used to go to Music China and do all that stuff. But dude, I'm like a total hermit. I like I like being home,
Right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that's just kind of it. I'm like a total homebody.
I think that the attractiveness to what you're doing is really strong because I think there are people that would aspire to having a home business and just enjoying doing things at home, but also enjoying their family life and that sort of thing. And
Totally.
yeah, doing the Pink Floyd thing for 16 years and just the travel related. At age 60, I'm not as fired up about the travel as I was maybe at 45 or 50 because it can be a bit much. So there's something really special about being able to do what you love from home
Yeah.
and be your own executive producer, which kind of leads me into another thought that, I know that there's very successful YouTube folks, Rick Beato and many more that
Hmm.
have folks that, on staff to edit videos and that sort of thing. I think it would be a hard thing to get to because the income that you would to have lawyers on hand to fight copyright strikes and
Right.
to have people on hand to edit your videos, that would be a very difficult thing. But when you're at a slightly smaller level,
Hmm.
it would be hard to imagine somebody doing the kind of video editing and having the eye for it that you have after all these years. There are people that are technically facile at editing video, but maybe they don't have the eye that you would have.
Yeah. Well, and when it comes to the video stuff, I'm like a total control freak. But it not from like or maybe it is a negative way. I mean, I can't answer that. But what happens, and I realized this, my wife will help me whenever I need help doing video stuff. And there's a guy in town who's a musician, my buddy Jesse, who helps me if I need to be like on location recording all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But part of the issue is when I'm shooting something, I'm like editing it in my mind in real time. So I'm seeing certain things and I'm like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this.
Hmm.
And not that my videos are some like, amazing like filmmaker quality videos, but I am seeing things in real time, and you forget because my wife would be like, no, no, do this. Like, why are you doing that? Like the lighting's bad. I'm like, no, it's because I'm already like thinking ahead of like editing.
Right.
So that side of it is a whole different beast of thinking about how to do it. So like to think that I could even tell somebody, I'm like, hey, I need you to edit like this. The first thing is they would have to be a musician. I don't. How could a non-musician edit guitar content like a guitarist? That was why like my buddy Jesse had never done any camera stuff, but I'm like, I care more about you being a guitarist than I do a camera guy. Like all you have to do is hit record and point the camera, but you'll know what we're talking about when we're talking about the tremolo, or we're talking about flutters on the guitar, all these different things. I'm like,
Right.
you have to know what that stuff means. And if it's just someone who's worried about getting a good shot,
Hmm.
but they miss the point of what we're actually talking about, I'm like,
Exactly.
it'd be like if it's, I had to go record somebody doing like an archery clinic. They'd be talking. I'd be like looking around, following the arrow, something like that. And they're like, "What are you doing, man?" So
Yeah.
yeah, that's its own thing. And uh, I have somebody who helps me on like the other side of kind of like the businessy stuff. His name's Steve. But as far as shooting the content, recording it, editing it,
Hmm.
it's that's a one man band still. So yeah, I don't plan on ever having anybody do that for me.
Yeah. 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 It would be if that's part of the And I think it's part of your aesthetic because I have noticed the, I always thought that you did a great job when I got into it. And I think that's typically what happens with us is we find something that catches our eye, we get deeper into it, and then we find that we like the person that's putting it out. But and then we start following the other things, and then you kind of see over the years an evolution in the color or the fades or just certain things that you're doing, the way that you're getting into a video. I think there was one recently where you, the guy that, the guy from Rev Guitars or Rev Amps that sent you the Tyler guitar,
Oh yeah.
the way that you came in and started that video, there's no flaw. It gets right into it, and so you're immediately drawn into, okay, what's in the case?
Yeah.
Things
Well, thank
like
you.
yeah,
Thank you for it. That is all absolutely direct feedback from my wife. Whenever
yes,
she would help me shoot videos, she would like stop me. She'd be like, "What are you trying to say?" I'm like this. She's like, "Well, then just say that. Get to the point."
yeah,
And like her biggest critique for me was like I needed to be more concise.
yes,
And
yeah,
I realized the same way I'm not like a big improviser. There's guys who are amazing at it, but I love composing songs and
sure,
solos.
right, yeah,
That's the thing that I love the most. And I realized that when I was improvising on videos, that I, didn't get to the point. So I needed to compose what I was going to say. Not like I don't have a script or anything like that, but think of talking points. Like be more concise for the viewer and get to the point pretty much. So instead of having like a big intro in each video, other than when I play a song, then I'm like, now you're stuck here. You got to listen to me play guitar for like 60 seconds. But like most of the videos, I'm like, what's the video about? Oh, we're talking about this Tyler guitar. Boom, Tyler guitar, right? It's like just right to the point. It doesn't need to be 30 seconds me being like, what's up, guys? I'm back here today.
right,
Got something really special planned for you. You can say some of that stuff, but in general, I'm like, man, just get right to the point.
yeah.
That's definitely been feedback that I've heard from people in comments. They're like, I like that you just get right into it.
And that's because we're living in an age where you really, and especially because I've been doing this for a little while, it's amazing when you start really looking at your analytics, just how
Hmm.
fast your click through rate is, or just how
Yeah.
the attention sat. You're like, oh my god! And a lot of the stuff that I've been doing is the long form content, these type of things. So
Right.
somebody really has to be deep into whoever I'm interviewing or whatever you know. But it is fascinating just how short people's attention span is because I think I see it happen all around me that, if you're going to have work done on your car or you're at the Trader Joe's, whatever, checking out, people have their phones and they're going to use that little window where
Yeah.
somebody's bagging their groceries to check out something on their phone.
Totally.
And if they want something, they want to hit a dopamine fast. And if your Tyler guitar thing does the trick for them,
Hmm.
they may only watch half of it, but they're gonna go back to your videos because they know that they can get those quick, dopamine response
Yeah.
things.
I hope you're ready when people click on this, like 20 seconds max, this video. They're going to watch me and be like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah,
We've seen enough.
but then there's and it goes down to just the way that you present it, and the thumbnail's always been a big point of contention for me because I've had people say, well, you want the advice that I get sometimes are people who are not successful. They're really good at marketing their thing, but they're not necessarily successful YouTubers. They want things that have a branded look, but I think it gets boring after a while if everything looks branded. They want something that, you know, something like your video or Ben Eller's video, 10 reasons why you suck at this. Or here's what you're doing wrong, or something funny. And I
Yeah.
think that you and Ben have a kind of simpatico thing to your videos. You both get into it really quick,
Hmm.
and it's really well done and it's entertaining. And I think people that even if they didn't play guitar probably could come away from being thinking, well, that was a fun video.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. Ben's amazing. Ben's so fun. He just hilarious. If you've ever been around him, he's just such a good. Ben's a good hang and a good person. But yeah, part of it is, sometimes people get upset at the thumbnails. Let's say they're clickbait, they're or the titles, any of that stuff. And I think that's like a huge misconception. I think that the word clickbait has been thrown around so much that now it just gets used. Like if you have a slightly interesting title, like there's a
Right.
difference between an interesting title where you actually talk about what the title says, and one that is misleading. Like clickbait is supposed to be this like very misleading. It's like you could win $1,000, and then you click on the thing, and then they're like, buy our course for this, and they never tell you anything about how you could win something. But if it's just a clever title of like 10 reasons why you suck at guitar, and then they proceed to list 10 reasons why they think you suck, I'm like, he did what the title said. I'm like, I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's there. But I know for videos, I I don't make I won't shoot a video unless I already know the title and I can visualize the thumbnail. Because those are the two most important things to get people to click on the video, and then the content needs to back it up. You know,
Right.
so I would recommend for anybody, it's like don't just. I mean, other than the beginning, just do everything. Just start shooting stuff. But once you've been doing it for a while, it's like those things are so crucial. I used to just shoot videos and I would spend like a minute thinking of like, here's the title, here's the thumbnail, whatever. Now it's like, oh, okay, no, here's the video, here's the title, here's the thumbnail. And another thing I learned from my wife, she's like, your thumbnail should depict something. Like what is your thumbnail trying to say? It doesn't just need to be like a pretty picture of a guitar. It's like, what's the video about? I'm like, oh, it's about adding a treble bleed into a Strat. She's like, well, have the treble bleed in the picture with a Strat in the back, all these little things that are involved in kind of thinking ahead. While that's like the whole editing thing I was talking about while I'm shooting it. While you're on location shooting the stuff, you got to also remember like, hey, I need a thumbnail for this.
Right.
I need to think all this ahead, because once I get home, you're stuck with whatever footage you have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all those things super crucial.
When you're talking to folks that are possibly want to get into this kind of thing, and if they traverse many different musical styles and they have a love of, like, say, they're interested in prog, but they're also into 80s stuff, but they're also into Brent Mason and and they have Brad Paisley, and they have a lot of different things that they're interested in. Would you say pick a lane that you're the most passionate about and stay in that? Or do you think viewers have enough bandwidth for somebody that they subscribe to be able to one day talk about Steve Howe, yes, but then another day that talk about Brad Paisley, and then another day talk about Sonny Landreth?
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with having like a core. Like, to me, I think my channel's core is obviously like 80s
Yeah.
rock,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, I've done videos with country guys and stuff like that, and people really liked it, because I think as long as the overarching theme is it's just really great musicianship and guitar
Right.
playing,
Yeah.
everyone, I would hope, if you're a musician, would be receptive to it, because you can learn something from everybody.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say to anybody who's doing that, you have to be able to accept that if you've built your channel on something. So, my channel is built off a lot of like 80s rock stuff, 70s, 80s. If I come out with a country video, like a lesson, it's probably going to get way less views, because that's not really what the channel was built off. So as long as you can kind of like adjust your own expectations of, hey, I need to make this video because I'm passionate about it and I want to make it. even though it might not get the most views, it might, not everybody's going to dig it, but you just have to make sure like your expectations are adjusted. And I say do it. I mean, or find ways to incorporate a different style into what your core style is. So, I did a Zach Wilde lesson.
Right.
And I said, it was like, the title was like how Zach Wilde tricked metal guitarists around the world, which, I mean, it's clickbaity, but you're also like, what do you mean? Like, how did he trick people? And my whole thing was, it was like, he infused so much country in his playing in Southern rock that it was like, oh, he's an Aussie, yet he's chicken picking in solos. And okay, he's got these big power chords, yet he's doing double stops and, pedal steel bends and all this stuff. I'm like, so, and Dimebag did the same thing too. I'm also going to make that video at some point. How Dimebag Darrell tricked my,
Right.
But, yeah, I think that you can incorporate all of it.
Yeah.
You just have to think how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the beautiful offshoots of your channel that I didn't see coming, but it was like one of the most miraculous things is you're partnering with Dan Huff, because always been a huge Dan Huff fan. In fact, my first guitar heroes were actually studio guys. Jay Graydon, Larry Carlton, Steve Lukather, Skunk Baxter, Denny Diaz, all the Steely Dan guys, Dan Huff, Mike Landau. And it was neat to see, okay, here's a guy that I think most of us thought, okay, well, he's just a successful producer. And now he's, with your help and your partnership, coming out and kind of reclaiming his love for guitar and getting to see I can't think of any other situation where where a very well-known YouTube artist partnered with somebody to kind of bring them into this world and kind of refocus the light and say, oh, by the way, besides the fact of being one of the greatest producers, he was also one of the most amazing guitar players with such a great backstory. Yeah. And it's been really exciting to see how he's opening up and warming up to it, because he seemed maybe in the beginning a little bit reluctant to put his toe into the waters.
It took about 2 years to get him to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, but first off, I have to say, Dan might be the greatest person in the world, like the nicest human ever.
Right.
I absolutely love Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for his friendship, and he just you learn a lot from him, and it was, I did a video with him with somebody else, with Derek from Rev.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom introduced me to Dan a couple years ago, and then hadn't really connected too much, and I went over. Derek asked me to help him shoot a video, and I went over there, and that was the first time I really got to talk and meet with Dan and all that stuff, and I just saw how good he was on. I was like, wow, for someone who doesn't do YouTube stuff, absolute natural. He was so calm. The way he's on camera is the exact same way he is when you're talking to him off camera.
Right.
And, we had talked and we had set up I wanted to do a video on his 64 Strat, and went there and he did that. And then I remember me and Derek were at dinner. This was earlier this year or whatever time it was. And I told Dan, I was like, well, I had a question for you. And I just asked him, I was like, what do you think about doing a YouTube channel? And because I just told him, I said, you're doing all these videos for everybody else. He did amazing videos with Mason. I'm super thankful that he did the one with me. Mm-hmm. He's done it with a few other channels. And I was like, I really feel like you should just be doing it on your own channel. You're doing all this stuff for everybody else, but they're your stories. It's your experience. And then the thing is called The Experience with Dan Huff. But that was really it. And I just told him, I was like, I think it'd be cool if you did it, and then we just got talking more about it. And then he it took him probably about 2 more months, and then he finally was like, "All right, let's do it." And we did the first one, and I think he's gotten to where he enjoys it a lot
Yeah.
more now. And I think it's a side of himself that he didn't realize was even there. This ability to talk to the camera and like do all this stuff. So to me, it's fun because I'm totally happy being in the spotlight, and I love being behind the camera and out of the spotlight. Because
Right.
Dan's always trying to get me to be in the video. I'm like, I'm just the camera guy.
Right.
You know, that's my job here. You know,
Right.
there's like 1,000 videos out there where I'm the focus.
Right.
You know, you be the focus. Let me just operate the cameras.
Yeah, it's a very reverential thing and showing a lot of love and respect because you obviously you want everybody to see and love the Dan that you already know, just trying to put
Mhm.
that out there and that may not be as easy to do if if you are moderating the thing. It's better for him, but it's cool because we as fans know that you're there and that you
Mhm.
might add an aside or something like that. So we know that you guys are partners in this endeavor, but at the same time, it's cool that you have that kind of love and reverence and respect to put the spotlight on Dan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a huge first and foremost, I'm just a huge fan of Dan's.
Right.
I when I was in high school, we had to do a senior project, and my senior project was I wanted to be a session guitarist. By that point, I had figured out that session guitarists were even a thing. Because I had never thought about like
Right. Yeah.
who I just thought it was the band playing on the albums, and then I realized I'm like, oh well, Alan Jackson, because I started in country music before I got into rock, but I just thought that's Alan Jackson's band that played on that album, and it's like, no, that's all these session guys. It's Brent Mason, and I'm like, oh, who are they? And it sent me down the rabbit hole of like learning about all these guys. And I'm like, I want to be a session guitarist because I loved, as much as I loved '80s, I liked playing everything. Like I loved playing country. I had the main luthier tech guy at the local shop was a big jazz guy, so he would show me jazz and classical stuff, and I'm like, I just like all of it.
Yeah.
And my senior project was on wanting to be a session guitarist, and it was
Oh,
about
wow.
Brent Mason
Cool.
and Dan Huff and Steve Lukather and Tim Pierce and all of them. I'm like, this is what I want to do, and it was kind of cool because not that I would ever say that is what I get to do, because those guys are like under pressure doing
Right.
session stuff. But when I discovered YouTube, I was like, oh, I guess in my mind, I'm like, each video is kind of like a session,
Yeah.
you know, what, especially whenever I get to like demo something or do a video and I'm writing a song, because then I'm like, there's no rules. I can literally write whatever style I'm capable of on the thing. So if it's a jazz master, I can do this real cool ambient, melodic thing. Or if it's a super strat, I'm dive bombing all day. And
Right.
the Les Paul, I'm like, yeah, I want to write a straight ahead rock song. If it's a
Yeah.
telly, I'm like, yeah, maybe I try to do some country, that kind of thing. So yeah, like I said, first and foremost, I'm just a fan of Dan's, and then lucky to call him a friend as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's been really fun. I have a bunch of stuff already kind of lined up in the pipeline, and we'll do it as long as we're both having fun.
Right.
So
Yeah. It seems like that it gives you an opportunity to, whether it's demoing a new guitar, an amp, a piece of gear, to create a tune, and much like a session, but you're the artist and the hired session guitarist that's creating a guitar part, but a piece of music for this thing.
mhm.
That's got to be a very satisfying thing because over these vast years, you've probably got a nice collection of tunes that you could put together as a solo project, or just have them as a nice body of work that is serving the greater good for the YouTube content.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite thing about checking out gear, like guitars in particular. Like I'm not really into like demoing pedals, an amp every once in a while, but guitars are really what speak to me the most. And I love getting a guitar and just seeing what's the idea that comes out. I just did a video on a Heritage reached out and sent me a guitar to check out. And I just had it, and I'm like, oh, I've never had a Les Paul with coil taps before. And I like split the pickups and put it in the middle sound, and it was this real quacky, quirky sound. I'm like, what a cool sound, you know. And then it just kind of wrote a riff. I'm like, huh. Yeah. And then when that happens, and you can kind of like hear, it's like you hear all the parts. I'm like, oh, it needs this layer. This needs to happen over here. There's something with the filter on, you know. Yeah. And then sometimes like the ideas are coming faster than what you can even jot them down. Really, you're like, all right, this happened. So, yeah, I love that stuff, but it's definitely a total different skill set. Like the session guys are so under pressure. Oh yeah. To come up with stuff, and you know, one of the things I always thought was really fascinating is your knowledge of references seems to need to be like astronomical. Right. You know, to where if they're like, give us like this James Brown, you know, the explanations of parts that the producer or whoever wants. So you have to have a wide vocabulary to know who they're referencing, what they're talking about, all that stuff. So, you know, in those situations, I'd probably be like, Eddie Van Halen? you want dive bombs? You want dive bombs? Yeah. Like, no. We want a nice, gentle Reggie White thing. So dive bombs, right?
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah. It'd be kind of fun to hear drift away with some dive bombing and tapping.
Right. Yeah. My next video, you're gonna be like, look, I gave him that idea.
That's right. What I've been doing with these interviews is I'm also kind of fanning out and doing a thing that's not dissimilar to the rig rundown. It's just called the Guitar Hang Rig Review, and I've done one with Steve Lukather's Guitar Tech, where I went to a Ringo show and he kind of ran me through Steve's rig, and I did one with Billy Sherwood from Yes, and also Dweezil Zappa. But I would be interested in doing more with some studio guys. So I don't know if you know Andrew Sinowick, he's an LA session guy.
I'm not familiar.
Andrew and Lyle Workman, a couple. When I go to NAMM in January, I'm going to be just going into their studios and just having them run through some gear. I didn't know if you'd be up for something like that, where I just I've got to drive in 2 weeks to Cincinnati for some shows, but I was going to be coming through Nashville. I didn't know if you'd be up for. I'm going to be coming through around the 12th of November. I don't know if you have any time available, like just a half hour, just to kind of just show your rig setup and that kind of thing, and walk.
No, I don't like talking about gear and yeah, no, totally. I'm just come by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how interesting mine would be necessarily, but
I think
compared to those guys.
Well, no, I think it'd be because at a certain level, everybody in the minds of the people that consume the stuff, everybody's kind of the same. There's either pro or there's not. There's guys that, if you've got such a huge fan base, it's hard for people to know that Tim Pierce has been doing things much longer than you. So when they list their favorite people, yeah, I love Robert Baker, I love Ben Eller, I love Tim Pierce, I love Rick Beato. You know what I mean? Everybody's kind of on the same. Nobody discriminates as to,
No, I mean, a lot of us are friends.
Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of there's so many positive things with YouTube and all that stuff. There's also a lot of negative. So a lot of us are kind of like support systems for each other who deal with kind of like the darker side of YouTube. But anyways, that's off topic. But yeah, like with the gear stuff, I mean, like, I'm totally cool with doing that, like I said, but everybody who comes over here, they're like, oh, your room's so much smaller than what we thought. I'm like, it's just a spare bedroom in our house. A few years ago I had an actual studio that we rented, and that was amazing. It was this huge spot downtown in Mansfield, and tons of natural light. And it was 1,200 square foot, so we had as much room as we needed. But I realized, I'm like, but I don't need that much
Right.
room. It was cool. It was cool for video side because you had so much good like depth of field, and because I could get it far enough away from the camera. But yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to come over, but you'll come in here and you'll be like, this is it. I'm like,
Well, I think that that's the thing that would be so encouraging to folks that want to do something like this, just because they're like, it's about the content, and it's about, you don't need a huge space. You need to experiment with lighting and getting good camera. And I think that's the thing that might be encouraging to somebody is like, look, I've got this microphone, but prices may vary on what you would really need. I use this kind of a camera, but there's a wide range of, it would be very helpful for people to realize this is an achievable thing. You just have to have a concept and find what your voice is.
yeah. I
But
mean,
it's
like I said, there's nothing real special. So,
yeah.
if you want to see it, I mean, you can see. I mean, this is the other angle that you normally don't see. There's like nothing. It's just like bare walls. It reminds me of my the first kind of, I guess if you'd call it home studio, and like my real early videos when I had an early Charvel SoCal, and I remember we were just so poor that we ran out of paint, so only half of the room was painted the one color because we ran out of paint and I couldn't get any more. But like if you looked at the other side, there would be like the walls were kind of messed up, whole different color, like all that stuff. And sometimes in videos you could see like a shirt hanging in the like you'd see the sleeve kind of like sticking into the
Yeah.
frame a little bit. And it was just because we broke the blinds and I couldn't buy new blinds, so I would hang a shirt to block the light.
Right.
So like if you come here, you'll be like, all the good stuff is on this side, and then the back is, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but the back is just like nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's all over here. So
Well, I think that's part of the charm of and the fun of it is, even though it's really nice to have a place that you rent, it's nice to be able to start your morning with a cup of coffee in your house,
yeah,
and not have to drive to a separate location, and plus the overhead of all that kind of stuff which eats into your bottom line.
yeah, it definitely does. And let's see, now I made the mistake of moving the camera. It we got lucky because in Ohio everything's significantly more affordable. Like I couldn't afford to rent a building like that here. I mean, I don't even want to know how much that is in Nashville, but there it was cheap, really, to rent it, and there was a full basement. Like it was crazy. Like and when I tell people about it, they're like, "Was it like $1 million?" I'm like, "No, it was nothing."
Yeah.
It
Was
was
this
just
the place that had the brick wall?
yeah, which wasn't even
Yeah.
a real brick wall. That was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. My wife did all of that, so we bought the fake brick wall, and
Yeah.
then we hung it up, and she went through and grouted all the stuff with actual cement to make it look real, and then she painted each individual brick
Yeah.
and made them look. Because I remember the landlord, they had like shiplap all through there, and we told him we wanted to do this, and he was like, "Yeah, whatever." And when we finished it, he came in and he was like, "That's not real brick." Like she did such an amazing job on it. And we're like, "No, it's all cardboard." It was like fake cardboard brick. And he's like, "This is incredible." And he was asking her to do it for like other places, and she's like, "That was so much work. I will never do that again." Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I just it gives. I think sometimes if somebody was to see Rick Beato's place, they might get a bit like, oh man, this is just crazy, because he's got like a full blown studio. It
Right.
just for somebody on that level, because essentially in the minds of people that watch the YouTube stuff, you, Ben, Rick Beato, you guys are all. Nobody really looks at the subscribers and then ranks them, kind of like basketball players. You're either in the game or you're a well-known YouTube celebrity in guitar or not. But it would be exciting for somebody to be able to see, oh wow, I could do this. Robert
That's a
really
good
is a
point.
super talented guy, but man, he really knows how to maximize what he's got, the space he has.
I thought you were gonna say Robert's not really a talented guy, and he can if
No,
he
he's
can
a
do it,
super
then
talented guy, and it doesn't. It's not about having, you don't have to have millions of dollars. You just have to have a concept, and you can.
totally.
So
It, yeah, I mean, it's the. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's also guys like I love both sides of it. I like some of the more scaled down production stuff, like me and Ben typically make. Like if it's a lesson, we're typically just sitting in a room. But I also love videos like Rhett will make. Like Rhett's really good because he really knows cameras and all that kind of stuff. To me, that stuff's really inspiring. Watching how Rhett does his on location videos. So yeah, there's just different styles. You'll gravitate to whatever makes the most sense to you.
yeah,
The other guy I should mention who really got me into YouTube was a guy named Keith Merrow. If you're familiar with him, he's a metal guy, like seven string.
okay,
But his whole thing was he didn't really talk much in his early videos. He just kind of wrote songs, but he was real cinematic with how he shot this stuff. I'm always like, man, I want to make videos like that. And so whenever I had someone when my wife would help me, I always would try to do like the intro for the song that I would write. I'd be like, all right, you need to move like this and do do
right,
this because I like both sides of it. It's just I, it's hard to explain what you want to see,
right,
without being the one holding the camera. And
right,
it's like, well, I can't hold the camera because I need to play the guitar.
right.
So yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah, that could be a good point. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's just a bedroom in a house. So
Yeah,
I discovered I didn't need anything more than that.
yeah. It seems like the world of traversing between having an iPhone and
Hmm.
then into the world of having legitimate cameras is that's where people start getting really intimidating. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what the first thing. An iPhone
Yeah.
is not as intimidating, but when you start talking about having a nice camera up on a mount of some kind, that
Hmm.
just becomes very worrisome. It's like there's,
Yeah, it's like I said, and iPhones are so good now. I mean, it's gonna auto color grade stuff for you. It's gonna compress your audio, maybe sometimes too much, but
right,
um, but yeah, I mean, like it's I shoot with the Sony stuff, but for editing, then I color grade all the videos and do all that kind of stuff. But man, just use your phone. Dan just called me earlier, and he's doing an interview on Saturday with somebody, but I can't be there. And he
hmm,
was like, I was just gonna set up two iPhones. And I'm like, I think that'd be fine.
yeah,
Just have two mics and two iPhones. I'm like, I mean, uh, Book's made a whole channel off of just using his front-facing camera on his iPhone. So I
right,
mean,
yeah.
what more proof do you need? Well, it does help whenever you are extremely talented and have played on a million records like Tom. But
Yeah, but he's got this gruff but lovable kind of thing. He's very sweetheart of a guy, and he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of opinions on things, and but he's at his core, people just love this guy. You know,
yeah,
he's
Tom,
very
Tom
loose and very unscripted, which I think is appealing to a lot of folks.
he's another one, kind of like Dan, but they're polar opposites. But just natural on camera. Like the way he is on camera is exactly how he is off camera.
Yeah,
And you're right, he's a total sweetheart. of a guy. I love people when you're around them and they just have such a warm energy
Right.
to them. Tom has that. Dan has that. So many of the guys here have that, and it's surprising how welcoming Nashville is, to kind of like, I mean, technically an outsider, like me. But I remember when I went into Glazers and asked them they were refretting my Strat. I have an old white Strat, and they were refretting it, and I was like, "Can I record this?" And they were like, "Yeah, probably. Why not?" And we got talking. I go, "Has anybody ever asked you guys to do this stuff?" And they're like, "We make guitar magazines every once in a while, but no, not really." I'm like, "Wow." I go, "Could we record a bunch of stuff here?" And he's like, "Yeah, do whatever you want." You know. So,
Yeah.
and now I have, such a good friendship with Joe and Nick and Adam and Max and Charlie. You go in there and it's like everybody now.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the most surprising thing is like how a lot of the videos I've gotten to do here in town, just nobody's ever asked.
Right.
I'm like, nobody asked to like do this, and they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, well, then I'll ask. And it like it's a total like life lesson for me. I was like, just ask.
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna do? Say no?
Yeah.
I mean, I did that with lots of guys here. I'm like, hey, do you want to do a video about this sometime? Yeah. And they're like, sure, why not? And I'm like, did anybody ask you to do that? They're like, nope. I'm like, and most of them have all been nice. Even some of them, big stars and all that kind of stuff, and they're all just chill. And you'll walk into Glazers and you never know who you're gonna see in there, having their picking up a guitar, dropping a guitar off, asking, if it's an acoustic, they're asking Adam about it. If it's an electric, they're talking to Joe and Nick, and so. Yeah,
you're in the right place when you see the EVH stripe mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
They used to. I mean, I'm bummed that they replaced it, and I keep trying to talk Joe. I was like, well, let's paint it again, but let's do let's do the Bumblebee.
Yeah.
So I haven't made it that far to get him to do it yet, but all those guys are amazing.
Yeah. Is Dan getting a glut of interview requests from podcasts? It seems like he's probably a very hot topic at the moment.
Yeah, he probably is. I know he's been doing stuff. He has another podcast that he's doing with someone else, another producer.
Mm-hmm.
I think down in Franklin, maybe. I can't remember where he said, but yeah. I mean, he does all that stuff, so I'm not involved in any of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seems to be getting asked a lot. A funny kind of outcome of doing the stuff with Dan is I've had so many other people reach out to me asking to do the same thing for them,
wow.
Different producers and stuff like that. And I'm like, for one, that's super flattering that they even like what we're doing and want to do it. And also I'm like, there's no chance. I don't, it takes a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not something I necessarily want to do for like work. Like
right.
Me and Dan were on the same page. I'm like, I just want to do this for fun. Like I think that this is important stuff that needs to be documented. And I shouldn't say no chance of like helping. I'll gladly help any of them and tell them what to do. It's just I don't have the bandwidth or time to like take on a project like that.
Right.
Because already it's a lot of like, bouncing schedules back and forth, and this person can do it this day. Okay, I'll move this here and this. Making it work. But I couldn't imagine having like 3 or 4 different extra videos I needed to do each week and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I still like at the end of the day I still just want to play guitar and work on courses and
right.
do my own thing.
Right. Are you on a schedule now where you like a regimented thing where you you look at your month and you realize, okay, I want to have X amount of videos for the channel done, and I'm working on this particular course, and is it a pretty full schedule that way?
Yeah, there's not a lot of free time really to do anything else, but that's okay because I like what I get to do. So, like right now, I'm working on so for Black Friday each year, I do like an '80s course, and so I've been working on a lot of these different licks that are going to be involved in that one because I wanted to do one. My buddy's like, you need to do a course on all those. It's like the repetitive licks that just kind of like cycle, like the
Right.
Zach Wild.
Yeah.
But they're all throughout '80s music. Like everybody did them, and so I've been compiling like 20 of these different licks that are scattered across all these different from Y&T to
Yeah.
Ozzy and all that. So yeah, the months are pretty mapped out, and then I try to like have at least one day where I'm like, all right, I'm not doing any video
Right.
stuff. I'm just gonna do whatever, me and my son are gonna go somewhere, or me and Gab, or
Right.
do something, and then I just play guitar all day.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Maybe you could regale me in your favorite Edward riff.
favorite Eddie riff. Man, I always loved DOA. Or what's it called? I can't remember how that one goes either. Little Dreamer.
Yeah, yeah, Little Dreamer. Yeah.
So many of them, but I always thought that was like, it's like so in your face.
All right, man.
Um,
Great to
all
talk
right,
to
buddy.
you, Robert. Look forward to
Yeah.
seeing you soon.
Same here. Same here.
All right, man.
Yep. Later, John.
Bye.
Well, that's a wrap for Season 9, Episode 8 of the Guitar Hang podcast. A huge thanks to Robert for joining me today and sharing his incredible insights on technique, tone, and all things guitar. If you haven't already, make sure to check out his YouTube channel. It's full of amazing content that any guitarist can learn from. So thanks for listening. Keep practicing, and remember, the Guitar Hang never stops.